How's it going, guys? Thanks so much for checking out the review. Nintendo and Devolver Digital hooked me up with the review copy, but they also gave me 3 codes to give away to you. If you'd like to enter, check out the link in the description after watching this video. I'll be announcing the winners the Monday after this video goes live in that same link, so stay tuned. Following the style of a one-hit kill action game, Katana Zero takes you on a wild adventure as you dodge bullets, grunts, and everything in between. It's a game that's short and sweet while focusing on trial and error. Katana Zero has you play as this bathrobe samurai known as the Dragon. He's a contract assassin with a dependency on this drug that's given to him in a daily dose by his therapist. This drug is special though because it gives the dragon the power to see into the future and the past, letting him execute the perfect mission every time. In actual practice, it means that the dragon can foresee all the different scenarios possible, almost like Doctor Strange. And the scenario that works out is the one time you didn't fail at your mission. It's a clever story detail that weaves in the time perception gameplay into a single thread. Now throughout the story you'll get dialogue choices when you're speaking to different characters, may it be your target, your therapist, or your neighbor. These choices for the most part don't make a major impact on the story, but at times do offer different quirky responses from who you're speaking to. These comedic answers at times balance out with an overall darker tone setting. All of this takes place in a world where homeless men are fighting over drugs outside your apartment, drug lords are causing crime, and your only time of rest is passing out on the couch as night terrors wake you up. At the end of the 5-hour story, I was a bit conflicted by it all. I found the setup for the story to be generally interesting, leaving me with a lot of questions that I wanted to get answered by the end of it. However, by the time I actually did get to the end, things felt unanswered, like there was still more story to tell. Perhaps it's setting up for a sequel or a DLC in the future, but there were definitely a lot more things I expected to get resolved than I actually did. Katana Zero is best described as trial and error, and that's because that's pretty much all you'll be doing throughout the campaign. Every day the dragon is given a new target to take out, usually a drug lord or someone in the line of crime. These sequences have you running through hallways filled with different types of henchmen, some with guns and others just strong, where if they hurt you once, you're dead. That's where your perception of time powers come in handy. At the top of the screen you'll see a gauge that shows how much power you have left. Using it in conjunction with something like your dodge roll, you can execute these amazing looking execution sequences. Like the game overall, it can take some time to get used to, but when you execute a perfect run, you feel fantastic. Part of it I think is due to how slick the movement feels. Running, dodging enemy attacks, and just boosting with every execution, it feels so stylish. Now admittedly the gameplay design comes at the cost of possibly feeling repetitive, and it does dip into that a bit. The feeling of satisfaction when finally clearing a run and executing your target is great, but it usually comes at the cost of 15 or so attempts at messing up. I think I'd forgive it more if the design of the levels were a bit more thoughtful than just adding in more enemies. You see, towards the end of the game, I noticed a trend at the start and the middle of the game. New elements would be added to change up the level overall, and that's where the learning curve and challenge came from. However, towards the end of the game, some levels felt like the difficulty just came from increasing the enemy count, even with some of those newer elements. Now there is some variation in gameplay objectives with the extra bonus content. Throughout the campaign you can collect these keys hidden in some levels. These along with certain actions in the game can lead to new endings that only make the already ambiguous ending more questionable. Katana Zero has that popular indie retro look to it, but it doesn't hold it back from looking like a stylistic modern juggernaut. Its art style is best described as a 16-bit neo-noir side-scroller with some great use of modern animation. Things like lighting up your documents or using a smokescreen in combat look fantastic in conjunction with the more retro visuals. Where a lot of games resort to looking like a game from the 90s, Katana Zero takes that aesthetic and puts its own spin on it for some great eye candy. I mean, just look at the pause screen, even that looks fantastic. Whether I was playing on my TV or on the go with the Switch, the use of the neon colored lights really popped on the screen. Accompanying its brilliant visual style is its well-done lo-fi soundtrack that perfectly completes the almost Blade Runner vibe that's going on. I really dig it. I think part of the charm is how it's integrated into the game. You walk into a club in one level and you can hear the music echo off the music that's playing in the actual club in this level. Another neat touch is that at the start of every stage you can even see the dragon put on his own playlist as he begins to work. I'd say my only complaint with the sound design would be the lacking variation in the sound of dying. You sort of just hear the same grunts over and over again as you make mistakes. A different grunt would have made it a little less annoying. Katana Zero takes the gameplay design of something like Hotline Miami and puts it into a 2D side-scroller. Together the two make a surprisingly slick and fun combination that's filled to the brim with a stylistic presentation. Everything from the lighting effects in the 2D environment to the lo-fi beats bumping to the Blade Runner-like setting, it shines marvelously. The gameplay does run into a bit of repetition from time to time. However, it generally did a good job at sprinkling some variety, whether it's through new level elements or entirely new gameplay designs.